to this day. You're talking about something that was 2 years ago now, almost 3, and it's something that's, if I was to go live on Instagram right now, it would still be happening, probably less, which is nice, but you just reach a point where you're just like, you have to just like ignore it and be like, okay.
And Justin came publicly to your defense and like said something?
Well, because I know that for him that's hurtful, because if we have moved on, why can't you? Like, that's kind of just the whole thought process of like, it's just hurtful. It's hurtful, It's bullying.
It brings me back to the Rob Pattinson and Kristen Stewart, the Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth, their first love, right? And people are obsessed, I feel like, with this concept of like your first relationship. Somehow it's being pushed onto you as like, get the fuck out of the way, like let them get back. And you're like, if I wasn't even here, that's not gonna happen. So like, let us just live our lives, and now you go find your partner, you be happy. But it's hard.
I have had this conversation with a psychiatrist, with a therapist before, because I'm just like, I hate comparison. The whole point of this conversation is that we're talking about how my relationship is being compared to something else, or I'm being compared to another woman, and, you know, get the fuck out of the way type of a thing. So where I'm at and the position I'm in, it's not for everybody, but everybody has a purpose. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're supposed to also be 25 and married and doing this, or I could have nothing figured out right now if in an alternate situation, in an alternate life.
And I think Hailey, he was America's bad boy sweetheart. And so I think there's ownership people and fans feel over him.
There totally is. And there's also this like, why is it you? There's so much of that I feel like, why you though? Like, and I'm like, I don't know.
Right? Like, I just fell in love, he fell in love.
We fell in love. And like, I think there was times where like, I can confidently say, I don't think we knew it was going to be each other several times. So like, I can't say that, yes, at 18 years old, I knew 100% that was my husband. I didn't fucking know.
You almost can't live up to the idea of who they think belongs with him.
Nobody would have, this is the thing, if it was another person, it's like, because so many people have adored him for so long, nobody in their mind would have ever been like the person. And here's the thing too, is like, we're talking about a lot of like the negative side of it. There's also so many people who have made me feel so embraced and so encouraged and so loved, and obviously it has brought me a newfound audience and a newfound you know, I want to like give credit also to the people who have like supported and been so kind and like so amazing and so great.
I think everyone in the world almost knows that you have been bullied and harassed on the internet for almost 4 years now. Like, that's a fact. And
but I do think it has changed.
Okay.
I will give credit to say that I do think that 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, because of how intense it was, it made me just very like closed off and like not want to share anything really of myself on the internet. I didn't really want to be open. I would get a pit in my stomach doing interviews because I'm just like, I can't like, it's like being like traumatized, kind of like you're too scared to like speak or open yourself up or say the wrong thing, and then you start to become, I had moments where I felt like I was becoming very like, not like a robot, but like I had to be very meticulous about what I was saying and very agreeable and can't say the wrong thing, and it just starts to become this very like weird way of feeling where you feel like you just can't be expressive and you can't be yourself. And then that was where it came in with like wanting to do YouTube and trying to have a space within this age of the internet and this age of social media where I can say, this is who I actually am. Take it or leave it, like me or not. This is who I am. And I felt like actually taking the step to, even though at times it was really uncomfortable for me, taking the step of being like, I'm proud of who I am and this is my personality. And like, this is gonna sound probably so corny, but like, to me, I've always felt like I was just like a girl from fucking New York. Oh my god, this is gonna sound so cringe. I grew up, to me, I felt like very normal, and like I am from a small town called Nyack that is like a suburb of New York City, and I woke up every day and like I was homeschooled and like did ballet, and like to me, I feel like I remained that same person. Of course, life has changed drastically, but like at the core, I feel like I am proud of who I am at the core. Like I know I've always been that same person, and I feel very rooted and grounded, and I grew up very grounded and rooted, and of course I came from a famous family. Everybody, you know, that's the reality of my life. Can't change that either. And I just feel like, again, people didn't really like know me and know my story and know the kind of person I was. Like, people don't know what kind of friend I am. They don't know what kind of daughter I am. They don't know what kind of sister I am. Like, but I know.
You are starting to share more, and even in the video that you made where you basically asked people to stop harassing you, and you were like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Just leave me
I was
alone.
like half joking, but I was being half serious. Like, it was supposed to be something that was like light and funny, but I was also being serious because I like woke up one day and I was like, I can't believe we're still doing this.
Because what, you like read a comment?
Yeah, like which again, like I have to stop myself from doing all the time, because we know that the internet is a toxic hole, and like comments are a toxic hole. But I was just like curious about something, and then I'm like reading, I'm like, are we still talking about this? Like, we're getting to, this has been, it's been years now, like 4 years we've been together, like, come on.
Let it go.
Let's all evolve together. Let's hold hands and really, like, okay, we're done. Like, that's how I that's how I felt in that moment. I was like, are we serious that this is what we're still doing? Like, we're still gonna harass me about this shit? There is so much that I could have said. There was so much that I, at times, was like this close to saying, and I just felt like there's so many things that were happening where it's also like there's a time and a place, and there's also a time and a place to let other people express what they need to express and like go through their feelings and emotions. And like I just felt like there were certain times if I was going to say something, it was going to make things way worse and not be beneficial. Again, it was going to be my word against someone else's, against a bunch of other people, and it would just not be beneficial. And I've struggled with that I had struggled with that for a long time. Like, I would talk to my therapist and be like, but it's not fair that people think that this is what happened when this is really what happened. And then you get into a cycle of like, again, feeling the need to explain yourself. And for me, it's not even about explaining myself. It's about people knowing the truth. Because there's a truth. There is actually the truth of something that happened, and there's the truth of what didn't happen. So I think for me, when people, you know, make up stories about me online, I'm just like, but that's not what happened. That's not the truth.
Is the crux of it the homewrecker thing? Like, is that what really bothers you?
I think there's a lot of timing and timeline stuff that like just wasn't true, and that's also just the internet making up their stories and like taking little bits and pieces of something they're looking at from the outside. And by the way, it's so many different things. The internet can make up, they can literally sit here and say that I threw up on you.
Which she did.
But that's not
right.
And you can sit there and say, Hailey threw up on me, it was really crazy, and then I would read that on TMZ and I'd be like, that did not happen. Do you know what I'm saying? There's just stuff that happens all the time that I'm like, hello?
Can you explain what happened when you were taking photos on the red carpet with your husband at the Met Gala in 2021?
Oh, and people were screaming? So, yes, I could hear everyone screaming. And again, I think there's a certain part of you that has a numbness of just like, I was like really surprised. I could kind of hear it, but I didn't know if that's what was really going on until I saw the video after. The whole thing of everybody being like, oh, he's trying to tell her not to cry, that was not true. It wasn't making me cry. Although it's a very disrespectful thing to do towards anybody, I felt like I had something in my eye. That's just what goes to show you how out of context things can be seen. When he's like trying to help me, I'm like, I feel like there's something in my eye. Do you see something in my eye? And I'm going like this. He's like, no, you're good.
And as this is happening, everyone's chanting. I don't even know if it was their relationship name or just her name.
I think probably both.
So then you take the sunglasses.
Yeah.
And
the sunglasses were just part of my look. They were just part of my look. I knew I was going to wear the sunglasses regardless on the carpet for some photos and then some without. But yeah, I did hear people yelling. It wasn't making me almost cry. I think seeing the video back after made me like, damn, like that sucks. That's the energy people are like putting out into like that you would even spend your time
camping out,
standing outside and doing that. I just felt like it was disrespectful to me, to my relationship. It just was, period, the end. But I think I've endured so much disrespect, and I still do to this day, that there was like a part of me that was just like, another day, another negative sleigh.
So depressing.
I know.
I know. See, that's like a very public example, I feel like, of you having to go through that. Is there anything that comes to mind that was supposed to be a happy moment for you and Justin, whatever, and it was ruined by harassment or bullying or this concept of his past?
They've never ruined anything for me. They're not ruining my life. They're not ruining my happiness. And that, I think, is really the win of the whole thing. You're actually not taking anything away from me. So that's what I just keep stepping forward with. It's like, you can't take this away from me. You cannot take away my happiness, my relationship, my business, my career. Like, you can't. You can try and you can be mad about it, but it doesn't change anything, is my point.
Hailey, what do you think the internet wants you to do?
I don't know. I legit don't know.
Like, if you were trying to get under it, like,
I'm like, sometimes I joke around, I'm like, would they be happy if I like just moved away and like locked myself in a house and just like, I don't know what the goal is. Right. That's what's so funny, is I'm just like, I don't try to understand like what is the goal.
I think I would say it's
a lot of the time I think it's attention. I think a lot of people, sometimes they do things and they say things in hopes to get a response out of you and to get a rise. And I've seen it happen with a lot of other people too. Like, you're ugly, and then like you respond and you're like, I wish you the best, like, I'm sorry you feel that way. And they're like, oh my god, queen, I'm sorry, I actually love you, I was just being silly.
You're like, that wasn't
funny.
That wasn't funny at all. Calling me ugly, like, I guess it is kind of funny, just look at you, so fuck off.
No, it's just like, what was your point? So then the point is like, they get the attention that they thought. I think a lot of people think you'll not respond. And I've had that happen before too, that I didn't think you would see it, I'm sorry. And I'm like, so why are you saying it? Are you just bored? Like, I don't know.
Can you try to explain, what does it feel like to have millions of people against your relationship? Like, what does that feel like on a day-to-day basis to you?
I guess the biggest thing is like, I think it's sad. I think it's sad to be against someone's happiness. I think it's sad to not wish somebody well. Who am I supposed to be that would be acceptable? And then that means that I'm living for other people, and that means that I'm being a people pleaser, which I struggle with a lot. I do want people to like me. It does bother me when people just don't like me simply because of the rumors they've heard or the ideas they've come up with or things that they've seen. Like, it makes me sad. But I think I've had to come to the point and the realization of like, there is no way that you exist as a person, especially not as a person with a platform or in the public eye, where everybody loves you. And that's even in life in general. Even if I was just in a normal situation, not everybody's gonna like you. I'm just existing in front of a lot of people, so it's very easy to make decisions about how you feel about someone. especially when there's so much access to look at them and see what they're doing, and there's social media and there's photos and there's just like life. So I don't know, I think that sometimes it feels really heavy.
What has been your lowest moment since all of this began?
When things can get really dark and you can start having thoughts of like it not being worth it anymore, or not wanting to be here anymore, which I have had before in the past. And coming out of that, I think it's really important. A support system is like the most important thing, for sure.
Maybe if you could talk about like the shame of having those feelings, because I bet a lot of people listening have had those thoughts, and you're really alone with them, and how to even like comprehend them is a process in itself.
Sometimes I don't think we can comprehend them on our own, because then you just throw yourself back into like a vicious cycle. I do think sometimes you need to express it, and you need to go to someone who is going to feel safe for you and support you in those thoughts, not make you feel like you're crazy or that you're wrong for feeling dark and deep and heavy. There's also this like kind of weird twisted thing where I'm like, I don't get to feel that way because I have an amazing life and I'm so blessed and I'm so fortunate. So like, it's almost like my dialogue in my head feels like, get the fuck over it. Like, you don't get to feel that way because there are people in this world that are really struggling and you're not. Like, that's sometimes how I feel like I talk to myself, because I'm like, get over it, like, you're fine, that kind of a thing. And I've had to really try to be more gentle with myself and like allow myself. I'm somebody who like, I hate crying in front of people. I don't do it. Like, just don't like it. And it's been since I was a little kid, and I've never understood. I mean, I've started to a little bit more in therapy and stuff, but I'm like, why do I find it so embarrassing to cry in front of people when it's like everybody cries and it's such a vulnerable thing? But I'm like, it feels so awkward and like cringe to me to cry in front of people, and it's always been such an uncomfortable thing for me. So like, when I say I'm like shy and stuff like I have been guarded emotionally in ways since I was like a little girl. So I think going through the process of also trying to understand why we have some of the tendencies we have since childhood, like what are the things that have happened to me when I was a little kid that have like brought me to the place of feeling like I have to have the self-dialogue of like, you don't get to feel that way, get the fuck over it, people are way worse off than you. Which is also like true. There are people who are going through a lot different struggles and different things, but it's the sense of not invalidating the way that I feel. And I'm still working on that, and I'm 100% sure that I will be forever working on that. In December, going into the new year, I went to this place that was a like therapy intensive. I was there for 7 days, no phone, literally therapy, like hours and hours a day. And that was something that we spoke about like tiptoeing around the way I feel, or like not sticking up for myself, because again, it kind of boils back to like, I've never enjoyed confrontation. And I think a lot of it comes from my mom is a very sweet woman who is just like an angel, but she, as far as I can remember, she never liked confrontation, and she, I feel like, didn't stick it up for herself, and at times still to this day doesn't say what she wants and is like, I don't want to do this, I want to do that. Like, she is a very just gentle, kind of reserved, pulled back woman, and there's so much about her that I like super respect. But I think it's just a pattern that I watched growing up of just, she was just very non-confrontational, and there was a lot we didn't talk about. There was subjects we danced around, and as I've gotten older and had open conversations with my mom, and she's expressed things that have happened to her in her life and things that she's gone through that I never knew about, it made me understand why she might be like that. But it's a pattern, and it's like a learned behavior, I think, a little bit, that I am trying to move past and work past.
To close out kind of the chapter of everything we were discussing, what would you say to her fans? Like, just coming from your heart, they're all sitting listening to you, having an open mind. Let's pretend they had it. What would you say to her fans?
I think I would say, the first thing I would say is you're not obligated to like me. But I believe that no matter what, there can always be mutual respect between people. And to me, that means just, you don't have to say anything. You don't have to like me, but you don't have to say anything either. Because behind this person that you're looking at on a screen is a person with a brain and a heart and emotions and issues that I face, and so do you, and so does Alex, and so does every single person in this room. So you just, I think just mutual like respect and decency, and know that what you say can have impact, and know that, I guess that's what I would say.
God, I think it would have been a little nastier, but I love it from you, Hailey.
I mean, what I want to say would be, no, I'm just kidding. No, like that, I always make the joke of like, I think if I sat down with any of those people and they would walk away being like, you know what? I get it. Like, I respect her for that. I think we will always have more in common than we don't. That's like where everything comes from for me. So when I see people being nasty and like attacking me, I'm like, we probably like a lot of the same things.
One of my last questions on this topic, because I'm just trying to get all of it, just like, let's wrap it in a bow.
Yeah.
So you never have to talk about this again. You're like, yeah, I wish.
No, I literally never will.
No.
I'm like sweating.
At any point, did Justin, or literally anyone, ever ask his ex to help put an end to the harassment that her fans put you through?
No. What I will say is that she has been in this industry much longer than I have, and maybe there's something that she knows about, like, it wouldn't fix anything.
I think like a nice little heart on your TikTok could end it all.
The thing is too, is like, I think that like everyone is just trying to like create separation, even though there's clearly like not always separation. I have no expectation. I would never expect someone to do that for me. Like, she doesn't owe me anything. I don't owe, neither of us owe anybody anything except like respect. I respect her a lot. And I think that like there's just no expectations. If that was something that she felt was necessary, then that would be amazing. But I just, I respect her. There's no drama personally.
Have you guys ever spoken?
Yes.
And then like recently, no, I guess not recently, but like after your marriage?
Yes. So that's why I'm like, it's all respect, it's all love. That's also why I feel like, well, if everybody on our side knows what happened and we're good, and we could walk away from it with clarity and respect, then like,
right,
that's fine.
As long as you know you're good, that's really all that matters.
Which had brought me a lot of peace.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, hey, we know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. You're never going to be able to like correct every narrative, and there's going to be new ones that come. It's never going to end, and that's why I get to the point where I'm like, that's why I didn't speak about a lot of this stuff, because I'm like, there'll be something new. There'll probably be something new from this interview.
Oh, of course.
Then I'm just like,
you don't want to know what's going to come from this interview? Hailey Bieber talking about sex.
great.
Hailey Bieber.
Yes.
Welcome to Call Her Daddy. You're like, we've been sitting here for an hour.
She's like, we're starting over. We're scrapping the whole thing.
No. I need to give the fans what they want, right?
Okay.
We need to just give them a little taste, right? Walk me through. Walk me through, step by step, your sex with Justin Bieber.
Oh my God.
I was gonna try to do it so straight faced.
serious.
Like, this
Yeah.
girl's a fucking psycho. No, I was wondering, did anyone ever ask you about your sex life?
No, actually.
We're the first ones over here.
I don't think
Are
so.
you a morning sex or night sex people?
More so night.
Me too.
But I do like morning too. It's so funny because I talk about this stuff, and the reason I get weird about talking about it is because I'm like, my parents are gonna listen to this. There's something that feels so cringe
No,
about your parents.
hopefully they don't make it this far.
Your parents are probably really progressive and like,
True, Hailey, but I grew up fully Catholic.
okay.
So my parents like really, call her daddy really like, I went from 0 to like, oh my god, what is she doing?
Yeah.
But they get over it. This will be your introduction to like, guys,
I also
I'm
have
married,
this
I've had
theory
sex.
that people like don't care about married people's sex.
I'm sorry, you two are the hottest people in the world.
I feel
Absolutely
like I'm
don't
like,
care.
I don't think anybody cares.
Oh, I care.
at
Okay,
all.
so you're night sex people, we love that. Okay, this is so graphic, but I'm saying the words.
Okay.
For the rest of your life, you have to pick one of the two.
Okay.
From Mr. Bieber. Are you going to be fingered or eaten out for the rest of your life? You can only take one.
That's very hard. Because I feel like it's always a combination.
Has anyone ever tried to have a threesome with you?
Like in our relationship?
Mhm.
No.
Would you be down?
No. It's funny because I feel like those ideas can be really fun and like sound really exciting. I think at the point that of inside of our, it doesn't work for the two of us. We personally like that wouldn't work for this because I think sometimes for some people it does. So I've heard some people are in like open relationships and like it works for a time, but I feel like in the end it always doesn't end up working. So I think the second you make the decision to do that, there is never going back from that. And I just don't know that I would ever be willing to like, we've worked very hard. We worked very hard to like be in the space that we're in now and like trusting each other, and there's like such a beautiful trust and bond that I just don't think that's something I would be comfortable with. Or him, for that matter.
Can you expand a little bit on how you guys built that trust and that bond?
He's really honest. Like brutally honest, overly honest. I could ask him about any person, any past girl, anything, and he'd be like, oh yeah, like this, and this. He doesn't have a problem being explicit. And I think that made me trust him a lot because I'm like, there's nothing I don't know.
Because you can tell when someone's being shady, and then
If they dance around her, like he's had people like DM him and he'll be like, oh, like show me the DMs, like and he'll like be like, do you think that like this person's trying to be nice? Or you think this is weird? And I'm like, I think it's weird. No, it's like he knows, he's just saying like,
yeah.
Do you think like this person is like genuine? Because it'll come across like super friendly, and I'm just like, there's just no reason.
There's
for,
no
like,
reason you need to have a relationship. There's
Yeah.
That's cute.
But I'm also someone where like I really encourage female friendships because I think that you have to be able to have like healthy opposite sex relationships that are friendships, or else you're like closing yourself off all the time, and it's like.
But you're not like having Instagram models like walk around your house.
No, of course. I'm just saying like, of course there's boundaries with everything, but
totally.
I'm just saying like, don't be afraid to have girlfriends.
Totally right, because it's like if you can't, it's like, oh my god, like
If I could, it would be like if I couldn't have friends that were guys. I think you control what the limitations are in any relationship, in any friendship, in any work relationship.
Like you can have self-restraint. And
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have people still in your DMs?
No.
You're like, I am just a married
I
woman
don't have
thriving.
people hitting me up like
I'll slide
in my
in.
DMs.
I got you. Okay, do you and Justin have the same favorite positions?
I think so. It's not like I'm like, I strictly like this one thing and he strictly likes another thing.
Can you give us like 1 or 2 or 5?
It's always different.
Okay, yeah.
It's always something different.
You're moving it around.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean like one day it might be one thing, one day it might be another
Oh,
thing.
I actually didn't mean that too. I was like, you're doing 10 positions in one night.
She's like, he's flipping you upside down one
No,
second.
so you guys have like, you guys are not set on one position. Like
No.
you guys have a couple go-tos.
No.
I feel
don't.
like with my boyfriend I have now like our go-to like 3. I feel like every couple has those like go-tos.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us one? And it can't be missionary.
It's definitely not missionary. I really like doggy style.
You heard it here. That was beautiful, Hailey. What is the sexiest thing Justin does to turn you on?
You know, it can be so many different things. It can be like a connection thing. It can be a physical thing. For me, kissing is a big deal. Like that's a big thing for me. It always has been, just like in my life before I was married. So I would say that is probably the most.
What is the sexiest thing you do that turns him on? Or what's his thing that he always says, like, oh God, like Hailey, like he like gets him going?
The connection point is very important to him. Like, we could literally just be like laying down talking before and like just having like a really fun conversation, and like that is really important for him. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you something that I think is super sexy about you that turns me on is voting.
Yes.
Woo!
Voting is hot.
Yes, voting is so sexy.
Yeah.
It's so sexy.
Justin can't vote here, but
well, he'll be supportive of us both voting.
Yeah,
okay.
He's very.
And there are so many people that listen to this show, and this airs in September. We have a huge election in November, and I just think it would be great to use the end of this episode and use this platform and our platforms to just emphasize why it's important to vote and just how much everyone needs to get out there. So why is voting in this year's election important to you, Hailey?
It's important to me because I think, as everybody knows, we're in a very scary state in our country. We as women are living through a very terrifying reality right now. And I think what we've learned, what I took away in a big way from the overturn of Roe v. Wade, was the people that we elect in our states, in our cities, in our counties, they are so important. And that was something that I was like, shit, like, this is really the reality. We got to get on it. I felt very passionate the last election about just, please get him out of there. Like, that was like, it felt like legit, like life or death, and it was in so many ways. And I still feel that even more now, because you've seen there's still so many terrible, scary things happening within our country. But I do think there's a chance for like change. And I always think there's an opportunity for change, and there's an opportunity to come together and stand up and make a difference.
You've been open about the fact that people in your family have different political views than you. And I think that's probably the most relatable thing we'll talk about on the podcast today. And I think so many people can relate to that. How did you navigate that? Because it can get heated.
Yeah, it was tricky. Especially very personally, like my dad, my parents. It just got to a point where I found that we couldn't discuss it, which I think is okay. I believe what I believe. I am a fully formed woman now, 25, turning 26. I know what I believe in and what I don't. I know what I stand for and what I don't. And obviously it's disappointing that the people that raised you could think so differently than you and have such a different perception that sounds crazy. And you're just like, how did I come from you then? I just don't get this. But it just causes too much disturbance and turmoil and argumentative back and forth that it's just like, it just can't be talked about.
You're not going to change people.
And it's funny because me and my sister have the same exact point of view, which is like nice, because at least I'm like, at least I got you. Like,
at least, thank
and
God.
then my mom, like, I'll try to talk to her about something. She's like, I'm from Brazil, so I'm like, okay. My mom's from Brazil, by the way.
Oh my God. No, I appreciate that. I think it's always good to just, one, normalize. People are going to have different views, but I do think regardless, like, just get out and vote, because it is so important this year specifically.
For sure.
So
and it's not something that I, even, the last election, I was super vocal about it. I plan to do that every single time. It's something that I'm passionate about, for sure. So I appreciate you bringing it up.
Hailey Bieber, thank you so much for coming on Color Daddy. I really appreciate you opening up. You don't do a lot of long form interviews, so I appreciate you trusting me.
Of course, thank you. I think I had an expectation where I know coming on here with you, you're gonna go there. That's just the reality of the situation. I wouldn't have agreed to it if I didn't know that was the case here. I think there there's a lot that I've avoided speaking on for a long time, that it is my life, so I should be able to like say what I want about it. You go there in certain contexts where it's like I've not gone before, and I think that's like a personal challenge to myself that I wanted to like push myself to like, you know, it's okay to be like I was uncomfortable multiple times in this company. Are inside of the couch because I was like, how many like protective body positions did I get into? I folded like a pretzel.
What happens in New York, Hailey?
To be honest, I really was always a very level-headed young person, but I definitely had my moment where like I went to New York, I started going out to the club, like that's just what happens when that's just what happens. You move to New York, you're going to the club, but I got introduced to like nightlife and going out and drinking, and you know, I definitely had my moments of that was like my time, probably like 18